T minus 80 seconds. T minus 70 seconds. T minus 60 seconds. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 15 seconds.
Hello there, Outposters. Welcome to another fantabulous, amazing, incredible, must-watch episode of Outpost Frequencies, which I believe this is episode 98. 2 weeks, we'll be doing episode 100. Will we be doing anything special? Nah, probably not. But take planning. Get out of here. With us, as always, is Matt.
Hello, mate.
How are you doing, sir?
Not bad, sir. Not bad. Yourself?
Well, I think this should be a less chaotic episode because just the two of us. So we won't have Sean's hamster, wheel internet that's powering his router that gives us him at a 25-second delay every time he says something. And Boba's manic stepping on everybody when he's trying to put in a joke. But God bless them both.
Comedy timing.
It's hard to do correct comedy timing when the internet won't help you. So it's not all their fault. But I think it's just the two of us. We'll probably have a little shorter one this time. I don't. Yeah, well, we'll just talk about some of the things we have for the week. I have a couple of stories up here we can talk about. And, I think, in general, the only thing I don't really need to talk about is the Rings of Power because I'm just not watching that.
No, I'm not watching it as well.
The only thing I'm watching is really butch feminists and soy boy SJWs just goober themselves all over Twitter about, I just love the Lord of the Rings with all the black elves and the black Harfoots and everybody's black and it's so progressive. I just love. What about Galadriel? She's a tough female character. She doesn't take no crap out of anybody. We don't love her. Do you think they'll put in Tom Bombadil? Nobody gives a fuck about Tom Bombadil. That's the only thing anybody actually agrees on is nobody cares about Tom Bombadil.
I don't watch it. I'm not a fan of Lord of the Rings, as I've said before. So this hasn't piqued my interest, and the fact that every true Tolkien fan is just dismissing it out of hand makes me. There's no point in me watching it, mate. I did see an interesting and very amusing video by Nerdrotic, who was talking about Lord of the Rings, and he was showing some clips from the scene. And there was one who's the main woman, who's the blonde-haired girl?
Galadriel.
Yeah, I'm not going to even try and say her name. She escaped from prison and single-handedly took down 5 heavily armed men by literally just pushing them, and I think she even punched one of them in the face, even though he had a helmet on. And it was very reminiscent of the Obi-Wan Kenobi with that woman who, do you remember when they was in that underwater prison? She basically disarmed 2 stormtroopers by slapping one of them in the head. And I watched that and I was like, Jesus.
Clunk. And then you can see the stormtrooper go, oh.
Yeah, that was it.
Thank you, Mr. Stuntman, for helping me.
But this wasn't far off that, mate. Like I said, there was about 5 dudes heavily armoured, and she was just on her own in like a dress thing, and she managed to disarm them all, and not only disarm them all and escape, but she managed to put them all in the cage and lock them up. And it just looked terrible. It looked terrible.
I know Galadriel is stronger than your average human male. I know that's the thing. She's an elf. I get that. But they're not portraying that as that. They're portraying that as girl power. And we can tell the difference, you know? It's not because she's an elf that she's stronger. It's because girl power, and you know, men suck. I mean, we you know, they're so bad about disguising their message anymore because they get all these hacks, these untalented writers who don't know the meaning of the word subtlety. In fact, they don't know the meaning of a lot of words. I'm pretty sure their dictionaries have never been touched. You can hear them open. So they don't know how to do any of this stuff that is entertaining, that tells a story. It's just the equivalent of just running out there with a poorly thought out protest sign and screaming at people to get your message across. Like, nobody knows what the hell you're talking about anymore. I don't think you guys do, but you're making this show. I mean, the show is, from what little I've seen of it, and I gave up after the first 2 episodes. I mean, it's gorgeous looking. The money is definitely in the sets and in the special effects. It wasn't in the writing. And, you know, I guess the numbers, well, what's been interesting is that, one, I guess the numbers are pretty poor. The viewing numbers are not, I mean, they're doing their best to spin it. They're spinning this news faster than Tolkien is spinning in his grave. But they can't really, there's only so much you can do. I mean, people just aren't bothering. Like I mean, I'm not even hate watching it, you know? And because I mean, at least for whatever else She-Hulk is, it's not boring. It's terrible and everything else that we've talked about it, but it's at least not boring, and it's short. If you're in and out, you can have a quick hate watch. It's not, I probably shouldn't, but it's not the end of the world. But I mean, this is an hour. Each episode is at least an hour long, sometimes a little, some change. Yeah. Maybe some of them are like 47, 48 minutes. I don't know, but it's 47, 48, an hour of just dull, boring, punctuated by moments of, you know, unsubtle, unserious message nonsense. It's like, well, why would I mean, even for a hate watch, why would I want to do that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's too long. What I don't understand, Jody, you might be able to clear this up. If we're constantly being told by these Hollywood types that men are evil and, you know, blah, 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 women are extra best, special, why are they constantly trying to turn women into men? All these female characters, they all have to be physically strong and physically powerful. They all have to be overly aggressive. Well, I'm surely, if
that's a contradiction, isn't it?
Bad, yeah, exactly. So
the contradiction is one, you have 2 competing points, right? You have one is all men are bad, toxic masculinity, the things men do are bad, everything else. 2, the only good thing women could do is what would be traditionally called default men stuff, right? We have to have female referees in football. We have to have female action heroes. We have to have females in the workplace. There's nothing that's default female that is considered a good thing. Women just going out and shopping, women going out and being pretty, women being models, women being cheerleaders, women being wives and mothers. That's all considered bad things now. All the things that were considered primarily female is a bad thing. So, and all things that were primarily male or traditionally male are considered good things. And it's like, well, which is it? Is it men are terrible? If men are so terrible, why would you want to do all the things they do? Well,
Exactly.
I think biggest reason is money. Yeah, that's where the money is, I guess. But I don't know. I just it's given women and men no clear defining role or purpose in life. And then they wonder why everything's going into chaos, or maybe that was the goal.
Yeah.
But it's sad because nobody knows what their role is in society. And I'm like, you have to be careful when you say things like that, because you want to say like, okay, well, I who are you to say what person's role is in society? Well, everybody should be able to choose what their life is, of course. But it's usually the boundaries and the guardrails tell us where we should stop and where we should break through. And if you remove all the boundaries and the guardrails, I'll give you an example. Like, I love games that have a story, and like video games. So I would play Doom, and I would have a clear path and objective, right? I would have goals, and there were different ways I could achieve those goals from point A to point B, but I knew I had to get to point B. Now the games are like Minecraft, where you just go out and good luck.
Right.
And maybe you build a bunch of stuff. And I say, well, that's great creatively, I guess, but it's like, what's the point? There's no goal with any of this that I could tell. I don't understand it. I think a lot of Skyrim and some of these others, I guess you do all these little mini missions or something, but it's like, oh, it's an open world. I'm like, I live in an open world. That's I can't get, enough. I like the progression. I like the storyline. I think that's why Call of Duty and some of these others do so well, because there's a clear storyline and progression through it. And even in the multiplayer stuff, it's like, competition. We got to win the game. We got to win the match. Yep. So if life is like the open world, like Minecraft, and it's just chaos, and nobody knows where the baselines are for anything, then they don't know where to fit themselves in the world, because there is all the places have been turned upside down, pissed on, shit on, thrown trash on. And it's like, okay, well, how do I make myself happy? I don't know. The only thing we know that is bad to make yourself happy are the traditional ways people used to make themselves happy. Having a wife, having kids, having a family, having a good job, taking care of your wife and kids, your wife take care of the household, and vice versa, and working together and having a very traditional life is considered terrible, bad, wrong, no good, very bad thing. Yeah. But that worked for thousands of years, more or less. Now you say, well, my dad abused me. Okay, I get it. There's always these terrible outliers that are bad, and we can point at those and say bad, but you can't just throw out the baby with the bathwater, as they say. It's not all terrible. Some people had very nice upbringings, and everybody had shit.
Yeah, you're always going to look back on times when you was younger, God, that was a bit bullshit. But I think most people probably had a happy childhood to some degree. Unfortunately, we just promote all the bad ones. But surely basic instincts, your basic instincts and your natural biology and interests should define the difference between men and women anyway.
Well, and that's where the entertainment piece comes in. If all the men, the traditional male hero roles, have been subsumed by women, and the men have no role other than to look stupid or idiotic. I mean, you and I, we grew up with, sometimes we had ultra masculine heroes like Rambo or whatever. And sometimes you had the slobs that made good, like the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
But it's still there were all different types of male roles that were generally competent. I mean, even the Ghostbusters, it's like we could say a lot of things about fake men, but for the most part, they were all generally competent in their own way. But now it's like the men are relegated to just punchlines.
Yeah.
And that's what is happening. And so all the women are being, hugely elevated in these huge, strong roles. Well, my wife has no interest in that. She doesn't want to watch women kicking people's ass.
No.
And it's not fun for her. She likes to watch romantic comedies and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
That's what makes it for her. I don't particularly like those movies, but I understand why she does. But that's bad that she likes that kind of thing. I mean, according to the feminists, bad that she likes that kind of thing. I'm supposed to now like that kind of thing. And she should be liking the things that I traditionally liked.
Yeah.
I'm like, but we don't. Why are you making us do this? If you do, if you're a woman and you love action movies, God bless you. Like what you like, you know, but don't change these things to fit women that aren't going to watch it anyway. I mean, and then you look at the viewing numbers and you look at all this stuff and you go, it ain't working. And you got the one guy over at, what is it? The Indian guy, the huge investor at Disney who basically came out to the investors board and says, you guys need to stop this shit. We are losing money hand over fist. They're going to get sued. Vivek Ramaswamy, I think.
Right. Okay.
But correct me in the chat or wherever. I could be getting this wrong. But I mean, he basically came out to the board of in the investors meeting and the shareholders meeting and said, you guys got to stop this. I guess he has a fairly heavy investment in Disney, if I understand right. He says, we're losing money hand over fist. You are being negligent to your shareholders.
Yeah.
Because you're not delivering a product that anybody wants to watch and you're losing money and it's falling apart. Zaslav is trying to fix that over at Warner. He's going to go through some pain before he gets there. When you shelve a $90 million movie, that's money you just basically might as well just set on fire.
Yeah. But I think the damage that film would have done to the franchises going forward was probably irreparable. So
it must have been really. I shudder to think of what kind of damage or how bad it must have been. That it was preferable to just piss away the 90 million and cut your losses. How bad could it have been? I'm just shocked.
It actually gets to the point where I actually want to see it. I actually want to see it. Just how bad
you
it
want to see it now, but it's kind of like watching Faces of Death or something, I've never seen a man with his head just popped off his shoulders like that. I want to see that. It's not something you really go and seek out. It's just kind of like this bizarre freak show thing, right?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting as well that they denied all the access as well to the files from the director and the staff because they just don't want it out.
Because I knew you want to bet they worried they were going to leak it?
100%, yeah. Because whoever the actress is for Batgirl has already been leaking recently. So behind the scenes video that's been shot.
I saw some of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to understand why entertainment is doing what it's doing and why it's other than religious fervor. Tim Pool would call it the cult, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, to me, it's that complete disengagement of rationality and practicality from your brain in favor of worshiping at the altar of whatever altar you're worshiping at. It could be the golden calf. I don't care. I mean, this is throughout human history. We just got people that have fallen to this new god of whatever, the left, whatever it is, that must be adhered to above all things. It is a religion. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, it is without a doubt. They're obsessed with it.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of dismissing religion when I say that, because I've seen so many religious people that are really cultish in their religion. Like I like, traditional Christians and that kind of thing. But cult is a better word than
I think cult is perfect. Yeah, it's a perfect word for it. It doesn't make sense. It seems like they're willing to send themselves into oblivion financially just to prove a point that isn't there.
Jim Jones got them to drink the Kool-Aid, right? I mean, this is not unprecedented. They're committing financial suicide, but it's still kind of the same thing. And for the glory of what?
I know.
I mean, you got 40-year-olds running over teenagers because they voted wrong now. I mean, this is what you want? This is what is the good way of doing things. This is the good and proper way of being. I mean, how many shows, especially like Star Trek or something like that, did you watch growing up that just kind of was like a warning against all this stuff?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know we're talking about Andor later, but even Star Wars was a warning against imperialism.
Yeah. Well, I think back in the first, the Twilight Zone certainly had some of these types of things.
Yeah.
And then I think about like, what was that Star Trek episode where they Landru, Kirk and Spock, and they end up on the planet where they have the festival, which is, that was the early version of the Purge, where everybody just flipped out. It was from six, like I think it's the first season, maybe the second.
What's it called? I know what they are when I see them.
Oh, I forget the title of the episode, but Landru. Turns out it was a computer that was running the town.
Oh, what was the big dinosaur face?
No. This was a little bit more evolved. They looked like they were from the 1800s.
I know the one. Yes.
Yeah.
Was that the one where Kirk had to be a horse?
No, that's the Greek. You're killing me here, man.
I am.
You're supposed to know Star Trek, you piece of shit.
And I found it. I know it when I see it. I'm one of these people, I don't know the names of it. I know it when I see pictures or videos. Let me have a look. Yes, I see. It's like like the monks.
Return of the Archons. That's the one.
Oh, okay. Return of the Icons. Let's have a look.
Landru. Landru. Return of the Archons. But they had the festival. Festival is basically like rape all the women, destroy everything, do all the stuff in one night. And then the rest of the time they're walking around, peace and good life, friend, It's like
that's why McCoy, wasn't it? McCoy was
big warning, red flag, don't do this. This is not a blueprint.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Yeah. Star Trek, I wrote an article, didn't I, about the potential of a Kelvin timeline.
Let's get to the news of the week here. So I was looking through this. Share screen. Okay, hold on. I'm getting there. All right. So the Kelvin generation. Make this nice and big. So this was your story, right?
Yes.
Rumor.
It's not confirmed, but to be fair, the source I got it from, they do have quite a good success rate with rumors. It takes a few months for it to come true, but they do have quite a good success rate. So yeah, I thought it was worth pulling up.
So they're going to do a Star Trek 4, which would be Kelvin universe stuff, but they're going to bring in the Next Generation cast into it, or are they going to recast them, or is it going to be a little of both, like Spock's? Like you had Leonard Nimoy's old Spock, and then you had Zachary Quinto's new Spock.
Yeah, it's going to be Chris Pine and Quinto and all the other
right. But you say they're going to bring in the Next Generation one.
There's rumors of, I think it was Picard. Who was it? Picard Wolf. Was it Wolf? But then it was going to be.
You said Worf. You said Worf and
LaForge.
Picard, LaForge, and Worf.
Yes. So they apparently, are going to make an appearance, but it's a little bit skeptical. Exactly. Is it going to be the original cast, or is it going to be a Kelvin timeline where they've been recast?
Well, or they could do both, right? Because you remember they had Leonard Nimoy in the first and second Star Trek movies because he had crossed over into this new timeline.
Yeah. Yeah, so you could get 2 Picards, 2 LaForges, 2 Worfs. And then obviously, I mean, Next Generation set, what, 100, is it 110 years after the original?
Who would they recast? Who would they recast? Like, do they have LeBron James as Geordi? Like, he's got this.
Yeah, go down. There's
a Picard.
If you go down.
Oh, yeah, you had your.
Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah, Picard, LaForge, Riker. That's perfect.
That's perfect, isn't it?
Beverly, Data.
Yeah, Warwick Davis for Beverly. I thought it'd be lovely walking around, lifting up to the little beds.
Worf, that's good. I like Worf. Data's cat, of course. Wesley, actually, that works for me. That would be much better. That's actually an improvement.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
I mean, you got to admit, because Will Wheaton is an insufferable ass, and
he's disgraceful.
Millie Bobby Brown as the new Wesley. I actually would be like, yeah, that's fine. Do that. There's a recast and a gender swap I could get behind.
Yeah, that's about it though. So I don't know. I mean, it's all up in the air. I mean, Star Trek 4 is what, 6 years in the making? Is that since the last one was made? So there's still no scripts. The cast don't know what's going on.
Been that Star Trek Beyond was 2016.
Yeah. So it's long.
I tell you, I didn't like. I don't really like any of those movies. I was okay with the original Star Trek, but as time has gone on, and as I've seen what they've done to that universe, I mean, a lot of people said, "Oh, Beyond is like going back to Star Trek." I'm like,
no.
Which part are you talking about? When he rode a dirt bike up a mountain and grabbed the girl, and they both beamed out at 70 miles an hour. That part, that was Star Trek. Okay, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
I thought it was terrible.
It wasn't. It's watchable. It's not great. But there's long been rumours that they was going to get Hemsworth back to be George Kirk. So Chris Pine and Hemsworth are going to be together. That. So we got the whole time travel thing again. So I don't know, mate. I mean, it's Star Trek, isn't it? Let's be honest. No one knows anything what's going on with that. I mean, there's even rumours of a 7 of 9 series being made. It's like, really? Why would you do that?
Make it
7 of 9. Prime 7 of 9. I'd watch that all day, every day. But
this is a different character.
Yeah.
I don't know who this is, but it's not 7 of 9. It's somebody else.
No.
So
it's not Picard either.
No, it's not. I mean, that whole show is we're gonna have to do it, man.
I know. I'm resigned to the fact. When is it? Is it next year? Is it February next year? It's out.
I don't know. It's too soon. Whenever it is.
Yeah, I think we've got 5 months just to steel ourselves for it.
Speaking of overly long sequels that really probably shouldn't be done, are you ready for this one?
Yeah, I know.
Gang together for Beverly Hills Cop 4.
Do you know what? Sky TV, who's I suppose you'd class them as the main cable TV channel here in England or the UK. They don't miss a trick, and they've been playing Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, and 3 for the last 24 hours since this news broke. And I tell you what, I watched Beverly Hills Cop on, I think it was Friday night. I was channel surfing and I come across it, and it was still so damn good. But then
first one's great.
Yeah, the first one's awesome. But then last night I was watching the boxing, and I flicked through when the adverts were on. They had Beverly Hills Cop 3 on, and it was just the worst. I forgot how bad it was.
It is terrible.
It was
starring George Lucas. You know he's in that, right?
No.
Yeah. It's a cameo. It's a cameo where he's trying to rescue kids on a broken ride.
Right.
And either just before or just after he gets down, George Lucas there say, "Hey, what's going on here?" or something. And he goes, "I gotta go," and then that's it. But George Lucas has a cameo in Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Well, I'll be.
I'm not bullshitting you either.
Why did they do that? Why did he sign up for that?
I have no idea. I get the feeling his daughter liked it or something. Let's see. Let me see if I can find a picture. I'll show you, but he's in. Yeah, here we go. Beverly Hills Cop.
Wonder how long that to hold his feet to the fire to get him to do that.
I don't know. So yeah, okay, yeah. Here's a clip. I don't think you'll get the sound, but I'll go ahead and put it here.
Oh my! Did he miss him?
Yeah, I apologize. Let's see.
Oh dear. Was Eddie Murphy broke? Oh, there he was. I just see him.
Yep, there he is. I'm fast forwarding here. Let's. It's George Lucas right there. So there you go. George Lucas was in Beverly Hills Cop 3. Who would have known?
Well, knock me down with a feather. I would never have known that. I wonder if he'd be
from there he was inspired to do Phantom Menace.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the end.
You could blame all of Star Wars. That was in 1994, so you could blame the special because that got his creative juices going. He was back in the game, baby. And that's what gave us the special edition and the prequels. So you can blame all of this shit that's happened ever since then. You can blame it on Eddie Murphy and Beverly Hills Cop 4. You thought it was just a bad movie, but I'm here to tell you.
That is unbelievable. I can't believe it. He done a cameo in his own film once, and even that was under duress.
Yeah, didn't he? Wasn't he in 3? I think where he played like just walking up with a senator and his kids. He had a blue.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
some crap on.
But this one, okay. So Beverly Hills Cop 4 will include Judge Reinhold, John Ashton, who's got to be old as dirt, Paul Reiser, and Bronson Pinchot. Who has
that Serge?
Serge.
Yeah.
Hey, but I'm serious. You gotta don't be ridiculous.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, it's Reiser returns as Foley's Detroit cop partner. Well, I would say co-worker.
Yeah.
And Pinchot is a conceited, snobby former art worker. Like he was awesome in the first one. And then in 3, he was like selling weapons or something. And it was just so over the top. It's like, oh, now I hate this character.
Yeah, it was drugs and weapons, wasn't it? In crates of.
Well, it was like he wasn't a crook. He was just selling this weirdo weapon that had like it could like cook Pop-Tarts too. You know, I mean, it was like this bizarre, insane weapon. And it has milk, and you can pour it on your cereal. You know, it's just so stupid. And I like the second one. I don't.
Yeah, it was all
right. I know it's not anywhere near as good, and it's got a ton of problems, but it has that Jerry Bruckheimer look to it, and it has a little bit more money, and it brings the 3 back together. It's still funny where it needs to be. It's a guilty pleasure, I guess, if you want to call it that. It certainly is entertaining. It's nowhere near as good as the first one.
No, they really are.
Third one is garbage. And I guess Beverly Hills Cop 2 was, or no, I'm sorry, the original Beverly Hills Cop was originally supposed to be more of a typical action movie, and it ended up becoming. They offered it to Stallone. Stallone didn't take it, so they took the script and they reworked it a bit
I see.
and made it into Cobra.
Yeah,
So,
I never knew that.
Yeah, there's a very strong relationship between those two movies. Weirdly enough.
Yes, I actually might watch. I've not seen Cobra since it first come out, so I might actually watch that again.
Yeah, that was that. I don't know what it was with 80s action stars of that or 80s action movies, but did you notice that everybody drove a really esoteric car? Like Cobra drove this really old but beautifully put together, car. I mean, the only one that was like realistic to me was Axel Foley driving that shitty Chevy Nova.
Blue thing.
Yeah. That the thing was made out of compressed rust, as far as I could tell. But they always were driving some bizarre. I remember in Top Gun that Kelly McGillis, she drove that.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember what kind of car it was, but it's just like everybody drove these really weird old. Karate Kid had that old yellow car. It's like they always show these weird 40s cars that for some reason were in perfect shape. It's like, how do you afford this out of your salary?
I can understand it with the Top Gun. I've just looked it up. It's a 1958 Porsche Speedster.
Yeah. It's like, how do they get all? I mean, I know it's Hollywood, whatever, but still, it's a little weird.
I was watching. I watched Boys in the Hood last night. That was on after the boxing, and they got their cars, the ones that bounce up and down. Do you remember Boys in the Hood? Have you ever seen it? They got their cars.
Never saw it.
It's a great film. It's a really good film.
Is it good? I don't know. All those gang movies, those Life on the Street movies from the 90s, there was nothing there for me. I mean,
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. Like
the
Hood
from
the boxing, it was strong. It was good.
How about Anna de Armas? She's disgusted.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. I don't like talking bad about Anna.
Let me get this straight. She does a lot of nudity in her films, and now she's mad that people are fapping to it.
Pretty much, she's mad. It's the nudity in Marilyn, or Blonde as it's called, is going to be taken out of context. And if you scroll down, she quotes it as, "That's it. Just gave me a bad taste to think about the future of those clips." Well,
like this?
Yeah, exactly. It's just.
I mean, Anna, don't take off your clothes in movies. I don't know what to tell you.
Very simple, and considering there's probably a dozen Marilyn Monroe biopics, and I don't think any of them have ever featured sex scenes or her with her baps out. So, you signed up for it, girl. Don't moan about it.
Yeah, I mean, men are men, and they're gonna do what they do. And
she's stunning.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. I'm not trying to take away. And I think she's a good actress. I don't have any news for her or problems with her acting or whatever. But you choose to take your clothes off in movies. I mean, you're old enough to know what the internet is and how it works, and how it's been used for. Probably since its inception,
Exactly.
The first thing sent across the internet was like an email, and the second one was like a dirty picture, right? Let's face it.
Yeah, that's 100% right. So, listen, stop making out. You are constantly making yourself appear nude with your birthday suit on. It's got you where you are today, as well as your talent. I'm not going to take it completely away from her, but
I thought she was amazing in Blade Runner. And not just because of the nude scenes. I mean, I thought she played it very, very well and made you. I still have questions on whether or not she actually cared for him or whether she just was programmed that way. I thought that was really well done. That you could see it in either direction, and she made that work. But then you go, okay, you also took off your clothes, and people get men are sleazy. I hate to admit it, but we're visually, and that's the way we are.
Of course we are.
So,
Of course we are. She was good in. I watched the latest Bond film the other night as well. A lot of channel surfing this week, and she was great in that. She's only in it for 5 minutes, but she's great in it.
So let's talk about Andor,
Let's do it.
or Andor, as I called it.
Right.
I was okay. First, let's just get this out of the way. It's not woke. All right.
No.
It's not woke.
Yes.
Question answered. Moving on. Don't see any of that. It's fine. My problems with it is that it took 3 episodes to get us to a point that I feel like was an act 1 of episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
That was my big thing. I also was kept I was questioning why people were doing what they were doing. Cassian starts out and he ends up at this planet and he says he's looking for his sister at some bar.
Mm-hmm.
Why is his sister there? He doesn't mention her again, I don't believe, throughout the next 3 episodes.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I just don't recall seeing it. So then,
no, I don't. I didn't even know he was looking for his sister, to be honest with you.
well, that's just it. Wait, let me put this up here real quick.
I just took that he was there to meet someone who's part of his little plan, and the sister was a cover.
Rogue Thought says you must be absorbed from that episode. TOS sounds like the mantra of leftists when it comes to our favorite classic IPs. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
And that's not what's happening here. When I got done watching it, I just kind of was like, I'm just not absorbed in what's going on. And I got a little bit involved by the end of the 3rd episode because stuff started happening. But I'm not sure why Cassian's doing what he's doing. I'm not even sure what he does. Does he steal stuff and sell it? I guess. But I just see him kind of running around. He owes money to one guy, but then he doesn't, or they have a talk and then they run off. And there's nothing engaging about what's going on in those first 2 episodes. He kills he kills a couple of guys on this planet that harass him. And so the next day, I guess they worked for the security. I mean, I would call them local security, I guess. It sounded like they were for a big corporation that was on this planet, but maybe they were government local. I'm not really clear on that.
Yeah, they're like a private security firm, aren't they? That's what
they're not. They're not imperial. They're not the empire. So he kills these 2 who are harassing him. One I think was accidental, and the other one he just murders him.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the guy that runs this older guy, he's getting ready to go on some conference. I don't know. He's going to Planet Vegas to get some horse for 3 weeks. I don't know. He's leaving. He's leaving this one guy in charge. This one guy in charge really wants to get whoever did this. And everybody else in this security, everybody that works for them are just kind of, who cares? Just they were dumb. They got, like the old guys, like they were dumb. They got, messed up. This is not worth us looking over. And then he says, you don't need to look this over. Just put out a statement or whatever. Just push it under the rug and be done with it. And then after he leaves, the guy, when he decides to disobey that and go after Andor, he doesn't know who it is at that time. He wants to get the murderer. He's working with different people, and they're like, oh, this will take forever. I have to look over all this stuff. I don't know. It's some ship. There's ships coming in and out of here all the time. I don't know. And he's like having to tell them to do their job and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, his job's rough.
Yeah. Okay. But why is he different than everybody else? Why is he so... I kind of liken him to Jean Valjean in Les Miserables. I'm like, why is he so fixated on this? I mean, and maybe part of this is my Star Wars bias, because I mean, this is a universe where we see Han Solo just blow away people in the bar and just throw a quarter over the bar and nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. I mean,
the good old
you
days.
can kind of say that life is kind of cheap in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And so, and we've not seen anything really in this entire, even in the original saga, we've not seen anything to really show that anybody would be that, would give that much of a shit, especially after the Empire takeover, So why is this guy so driven? Now, maybe there's a good reason why he's driven. I don't know what it is. I don't know why he's pushing this so hard. Why is he so dedicated to this? What makes him different than everybody else not just in the security force, but pretty much in the entire Star Wars universe? I care so much about two ne'er-do-wells that got blown away in a bar one night. Why is this such a big deal to him?
I don't know. Well, we don't know. This is 12 episodes, isn't it, sir?
We don't know because nobody tells us, right?
I think it's 12. But perhaps he's just driven by blind ambition. Perhaps his goal is to become part of
but in the introduction, you need to tell us this kind of stuff. We need to understand why characters are doing what they're doing so that we can move things forward. And I feel like it's this weird, I don't know, I call it the lost syndrome, but just doling out stuff like in a mystery format over episodes, Yeah. Look, the original Star Wars, first thing I see is a tiny ship getting chased by a giant, big, imposing ship that looks like a freaking knife, right? Coming through a spearhead. Clearly, one of these is bad and one of these is good. And then we see that Leia is... The first thing we see is a bunch of skeletons come out of a door, followed by a demon devil in black. I mean, that's the imagery you're seeing here, right? The stormtroopers look like skeletons, and he looks like death.
Yeah,
and then beautiful Princess Leia, because of the beauty and everything, you immediately associate with good, and you find out she sent some plans away with the droids. She's part of a rebellion against an overreaching empire. I've got all the motivations right there. I know exactly why everybody is doing what they're doing. Yep. Then we get down to Luke. What is Luke doing? Luke is stuck at a farm. He's bored. He wants adventure. He wants to get away. And these droids have sent him on his adventure. Somewhat unwillingly, but somewhat willingly, because he wants to get off of the farm. Got it. I got everybody's motivation. Now let's get on with the movie. Right? They do that within the first, 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And some would say it took a little too long because we had to watch the droids go through the desert and get hit by the child. It took forever to get to Luke. So I got all that. And I don't know what any of the motivations are. We see Cassian was a kid in a more wild tribe, a non-technological, tribe. More primitive, and they find a ship that crashes, and he goes out there with a team. I think his sister. Well, I guess his sister was the younger one. I don't know. Did it have? I didn't see any real subtitles or anything, so I'm not sure what they were telling each other.
No, there wasn't any subs for it. I know they put the face paint on, and he copied her face paint, didn't he? Down his chin. So I presume that was his sister, which is what I was saying about.
Are they used to ships going down, or is this just like, a god has come down? What's going on here? And then the leader gets killed, the girl leader gets killed, and they all run off after they kill the crewman who did this.
Yeah.
So he decides to go in there, and then he sees his reflection for the first time, I guess. Like he's never seen his reflection before, and he starts bashing up the control panels and everything. And then the scavengers come in. Harry Potter's stepmom comes in, or aunt, and she takes him because she doesn't want to leave him by himself, doesn't want him to get captured by the bad guys, whoever, and decides to take care of him and adopt him. Why did she do this? I guess because she didn't want him to get killed. But why couldn't she just take him away and drop him off away from the crash? Why did she feel the need to take him and take this? I mean, if I find a baby squirrel, I put it back in the tree. I don't take it home and make it my responsibility for the next 12 years. I mean, I'm not. I that's how he gets off planet, I guess. He gets raised by this woman, but it takes 3 episodes for us to figure that out.
Yeah.
Figure out what's going on because they're doling it out so long. And okay, so was his sister left there? Was the older girl his sister? Or was the younger girl his sister? And in either case, how did she get off planet? Or is that just something he said to the lady? What is he trying to do? I don't know what he's trying to do.
No, I don't. I think the sister thing was a red herring. I understood it that his sister was the one that got killed, which is why he was so angry against this Empire ship, and
maybe
that's why he was furious about it. So,
but he was also with that littler. He was also with that littler girl that kind of tagged around with him. So I got the feeling that he had a younger. Maybe they're both his sisters, but they don't really explain that, or I can't tell what the hell is going on. And I'll admit, I was kind of in and out because I was just bored. So if I missed a key bit of information, it's possible.
No, I don't think so. Did. I think here lies the problem, Yoda, is that to both of us don't know who was who and what was what.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know why.
I think the sister got killed.
That's just that part. I don't know who or what's what. Later on, then they show a droid. Like at the very beginning, they show this droid. It takes like 15 minutes for this droid to get from one part of the town to the other. We got to follow every single step that or role that this droid takes. I'm like, why are we watching this droid for 15 minutes? And then like I like the look of the show, and I want to like the tone of the show because it's something different.
Mm-hmm.
It's a more serious and grounded show, and they're trying to do things that are not just standard.
Fantastic.
Like Book of Boba Fett, The Mandalorian are different, but they still have that Star Wars tone to them.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word. That Star Wars atmosphere, you still feel like you're in the Star Wars universe. This doesn't. This feels like I'm watching some sort of, like I'm watching Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy or something,
Yeah.
And that's not a bad, I'm not trying to deny that's not a bad thing. But that's also, if you're going to do that, then I need to understand why these characters are doing what they're doing. Did he have a relationship with this, who, by the way, super hot mechanic lady?
Bix.
Did he have a relationship with her, or did they not have a relationship, or was there kind of a thing there, but then she ended up going with this other guy?
I think it was a previous relationship.
That was the only motivation I understood, was this previous guy turning in Andor because he was jealous because of the super hot lady that he was with.
Yep, 100%.
It's like,
I think they had a relationship.
I get it, dude. She's super hot. I get it.
yeah. You're marking your territory.
And he looks like a Mexican conquistador. I don't blame you. Okay, get him out of there. Get him out of there.
He's called Tim. Of all the names.
Is that his name, Tim? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, fucking Tim. But yeah, I think that's what that was. She had a previous relationship with Andor. This is what I'm reading into it. And I think because of the way he is, and he's obviously a little bit of a ducker and a diver, as we like to call him.
Yeah, I guess he's a scavenger selling stuff, and he's getting money, but he doesn't really like I've seen those shows where it's like take Romancing the Stone.
Mm-hmm.
The Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas character. Where he's
Douglas.
He's selling birds, and he's doing weird things and everything, but he always has this picture of this beautiful boat that he wants to get because he wants to say, that's his motivation, that's his goal, that's why he's doing everything that he's doing. I don't know why Cassian is doing what is his overall goal, or is he just surviving? Because the show doesn't tell us, so I don't know.
No.
That was my big problem with the show. There's a lot of that. I don't know why Jean Valjean decides that he has to get Andor. I don't understand why Andor is doing what he's doing. I don't understand what the motivations are. I do think it finally picked up where it's like, okay, he's being picked up by Stellan Skarsgård, who's going to take him to the rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we have that firefight. I did like the firefight. I like the guy that was the Jean Valjean was kind of incompetent, didn't know what to do after things blew up in his face. And they, they kind of screwed up. I like everybody banging the,
very good.
the stuff. Look, reminds you of like, I don't know, Lord of the Flies or something. It's just creepy.
Yeah.
And I like some of that kind of stuff. It's just that was all in the third episode, and the first two episodes were boring, and I don't understand people's motivations. If I don't understand people's motivations, I can't engage with the characters because I don't know why they're doing what they're doing. That was my problem with this whole thing.
I took it that Andor is just angry, probably lost, hasn't found his niche. He obviously wants to fight back against the Empire, but probably doesn't know how to do it. So he's just ducking and diving and trying to do.
But why? I didn't see the Empire anywhere in this. There's nothing to say that the Empire caused him any problems. It was this old Republic vessel that crashed, I think, and then there was these people that are chasing him now, but he did kill their people, and that was only very recent. And the rest of it, I've not seen one stormtrooper, one Star Destroyer, one nothing that says the Empire is causing him problems or a flashback or nothing. Maybe he is mad at the Empire. How do you know?
Well, I think because the ship at the beginning, when he was still in that tribe as a young boy, has obviously crash landed. As a result, who I think is his sister was killed. And then Fiona Shaw, she's the actress from Harry Potter, she obviously takes him away from the tribe and raises him, I presume, as an adopted son. So I just took it that he was just angry at the world, at the fact that his entire life was turned upside down because of this ship that crash landed. And he's
that
never
might
recovered
be,
from it.
but we don't see that happen. We don't see the conclusion of that part. It gets doled out over the course of 3 episodes. If they put that all at the beginning, like if that had been the first scene, just the whole crash land ship, and then we go into Andor story. But instead of editing it out across 3 episodes, we're left watching the first 2 episodes trying to figure out what is going on. And so you end up disengaged from the episodes because I don't know that until episode 3. And now, in my mind, episode 3 was like the end of act 1 of a 3-act play. But I'm like, 3 hours for act 1 just to try to figure out where things are going? Are you out of your minds? Come on, trim this up a bit,
You could have cut half of that. Apparently it's 12 episodes. That's what I'm hearing, yeah.
Game of Thrones is only 10.
Yeah, but this is Star Wars. You know what they're like. There's a lot of flogging, like being horse to be done, or episodes.
I'm trying not to like. I mean, you can clearly hear that none of my issues are about woke or feminine, all that boring nonsense that we have to deal with in She-Hulk and all that. It's actually, I think there's some smartly written stuff, but maybe I will see that after the whole thing is done. But I don't like the way it's edited and structured right now because I'm not able to engage. And I think there's too much filler. I mean, the droid going for 25 minutes, it wasn't necessary. So I'm just having trouble staying engaged with the show because there's not enough clear motivations, or at least they don't become somewhat clear until episode 3 minutes 37, right? So that's 2 hours and 37 minutes I've had to slog through just to get to somebody's motivations. That's ridiculous. Come on.
Listen, I'm not going to disagree. I think 3 episodes was too much. I think they probably could have trimmed it down to 1.5. They could have get all the nitty gritty in an hour and a half. 3 was too much. Personally, I like slow burns anyway. You know, I'm a fan of Close Encounters, Blade Runners, Arrival, Interstellar. I like a slow, methodical, world building show.
Yeah, but
So I
a
quite
slow.
liked it, but it wasn't my criticism, Yoda, is it didn't feel like a Star Wars. And I find, as much as I love Blade Runner and I love that nitty gritty, the fact that Star Wars is its own character in its own right and has been copied and mimicked so many times over 40 years to now find itself completely lost and that it's now having to copy other franchises just sums up what exactly has gone wrong. Star Wars is Americana. It's escapism. It's adventure. It's dry wit. It's danger.
Well, in some ways, Star Wars is a copy of what came before too. I mean, if you think of Flash Gordon serials and all that kind of stuff, I'm gonna push back on you a little bit there because the problem with Star Wars is that as big and sweeping as this epic universe should be, it's tended to kind of be stuck under the Skywalker saga.
Mm-hmm.
And let's face it, I mean, you and I were the biggest critics of The Last Jedi and the, Force Awakens, the sequels and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, all of that is just, it kind of tends to repeat itself in a lot of ways. They've done some good work with, the Clone Wars and Rebels and a couple of others, but it's still, a lot of Force and Jedi and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's good that they're trying to do something different, something interesting, something different, something that is a little more ballsy. But I would say that, as much as everybody shits on the idea of exposition, this needed a little bit of exposition here and there to kind of give us a little something to sink our teeth into, at least for those first two episodes. Because I just wasn't engaged. If we had that, because you talked about like Close Encounters. I mean, Close Encounters is a slow burn, but what's happening is interesting, and every scene continues to move the next scene forward. Everything is building upon itself. This doesn't have that. It's just treading water for 2.5 episodes before anything happens. And even then, it's like you're struggling to just stay awake.
Well, hopefully it'll kick off in 4, but episode 4, hopefully they've just laid the groundwork and they just fleshed it out too much. But like I said, I liked it. I know a few other people in the comments enjoyed it as well. And like you said, who was the drunken something liked it? Who is it? The YouTube video you watched.
Oh, Critical Drinker.
Critical Drinker. You said he didn't mind it too bad. My criticism, it's not so much, it was a slow burn, but it didn't really bother me too much. I like it. I have to think about who's who and build up over time. My criticism was it was too far removed from Star Wars, and this is the tricky thing because I find that Disney Star Wars is more cartoonish the way they are. Everything's like bright and fantastical and like a moth to a flame. Everyone's like, oh, and now this has gone the complete opposite. It just needs to find its happy ground. Hopefully now they've left whatever planet they was on and they're going to be venturing into space. We might see a few familiar things again, but I don't want to be too familiar. I mean, Baba Phil always said that Kenobi was more member berries, and I quite like the fact that this isn't doing that. But I think every now it needs a sprinkling of something.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough balance, and I will give some sympathy for the creators. It's like we put too much stuff in there. They say member berries. We don't put enough. They say it doesn't feel like Star Wars. We can't win with these people. I get
That's
it.
My point.
Yeah. And I think there is a delicate balance there. I mean, you don't want to make something that's just so alien to what it is. It's like, well, this isn't Star Wars. This is something else. But on the other hand, if you just marinate in all the nostalgia, it's like, what's the point? It's got to be somewhere in between. Of course, you have to have a Star Destroyer or some stormtroopers or something if you're going to join the rebellion, then we got to see them fight the Empire or something. but we can see more espionage type missions and things like that. It could be interesting. I'm not saying
I think it'll grow.
I just would like to understand everybody's motivations. I mean, like, I like that when the security team came down and they handcuffed the girl to the thing, and I thought, oh, what's she gonna do to get out of this? And the next scene, it's like she's clearly been smacked up against the wall. She's got blood coming from her thing, and she's still handcuffed to the thing. It's like, oh, they're not doing that. Oh, that's interesting. Because I mean, she's a Mary Sue. No, in fact, I was like, oh, that's where I go. Well, that's a little abusive, isn't it? I mean, Princess Leia's torture was implied. You know, we saw the droid come in and had a needle. They shut the door, and that was it. You know, we didn't see a girl just look with blood coming down, looking like she'd just been had her hand slammed in a silverware drawer. You know, like, but I mean, props to them for not trying to. That's why I say the wokeness is not here. It's not here
at the moment.
At the moment, not a problem. So and they didn't make the primitive tribe look like some sort of angelic American Indians or something. They're just a bunch of people who live on this planet, and freaking ship crash, and all they have is blow darts, and they did the best they could. Did you know that was
Andor? Did you know that Keep was Andor? Did you know it was a flashback?
Well,
I didn't.
Yeah, I think I knew that fairly quick. Okay. I think that wasn't. Yeah, I don't recall it being too much of an issue. Figuring that out. I must
have missed something. So I saw the last, obviously, episode 3 finished, and it was a flashback.
But I can understand. I think it said something about 15 years ago or 20 years ago or something.
Oh, maybe. Did it? Oh, I missed that bit then.
It might have had a title card. I'm not sure. So I knew that because he's well into his 30s. Maybe they didn't say a time frame, but I mean, he's well into his 30s, so you got to figure that's pre-Empire. Because the Empire was only around for 20 years, 23 years, something like that. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to crap on it when it's trying something different and it's trying something new and it's wanting to do and it's staying away from the message and it's trying to do something interesting with the Star Wars universe. But that doesn't mean I'm going to just ignore what I feel is badly structured storytelling. I mean, I still have to be engaged with what you're doing here. Mm-hmm. And I don't, give me some clear motivations, give me some understanding. Don't spread out a flashback over 3 episodes, I think with a little bit of restructuring, a little editing, and a couple of a scene here and there that just helps me understand some of these characters' motivations a little bit better, I think it'd be all right.
I think you'll get that payoff over the next few episodes. Like, it is 12 episodes. I've just looked, by the way, so I think you'll get that payoff. But
yeah, I'll get it in episode 12.
Yeah, right at the end.
It'll be a post-credit scene, episode 12. Oh, this is why he did all this.
Yeah, you'll get a de-aged Anakin turning up. But it's a catch-22 for me, mate, because I liked it. I did like it, and I liked it that it wasn't so much in-your-face member berries as Phil calls them, and it wasn't just like Star Wars nostalgia. I liked they was doing something different, but then on the other hand, I would have liked just a sprinkling of something more recognisable than it was Star Wars. Because let's be honest, if you didn't know this was associated with Star Wars, it could have been anything. It could have quite easily been a Blade Runner.
Yeah, so I mean, it could have been. It could have been. Yeah, you're right. I think you'll get all that as it goes along. I think these first 3 episodes were all about setup. I guess my primary thing is one, motivations were not clear. And 2, you did not need all these 3 episodes to get him with Stellan Skarsgård.
I agree.
That. You didn't need this much time.
Mm-hmm.
It was too much filler. And I know, I mean, geez, sometimes I feel like, I really do feel like, that Disney or creators of Joe's like, there's no pleasing you people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like John Travolta. You want to smoke in a pancake? Well, then there's no pleasing you. But you can't. It is what it is. I mean, it's like I'm trying to praise the things that I think are good, and but I can't get over the things that so far I think were not so good, and it's the ability to engage and be engaged with these characters was lacking. It was just, I mean, Diego Luna, part of the problem is I feel like he mumbles so much of his lines, and I'm trying to figure out what exactly is he saying, or what is. There was a couple of times I had to rewind. It's like, what did they just say? So that doesn't help because you're not engaged with the character. I just don't think he's that engaged with the character.
He's too miserable. And the worst thing is, Yoda, because this is a prequel for prequel, we know that his character isn't actually going to get any better moving forward. We know that he's always going to be this miserable bastard for the next 9 episodes and then a movie.
But we'll find out how he gets his robot friend sidekick dude, right? That's coming.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I mean, what did you think of Rogue One? Because I thought Rogue One nailed it. I thought it had that sprinkling of Star Wars. Obviously, got more as it went along, but it also had a feel of something different. I love Rogue One, so I'm just hoping that this is going to evolve into something similar.
I think Rogue One has the same problem as this does, is that there's not enough of the characters that engage you. They are boring. They are lifeless. They don't. I mean, the Rogue One gets by on its admittedly quite phenomenal third act with all the X-Wings. Yeah, I mean, they brought in, like, from the cutting room floor of the original Star Wars, Red Leader and Gold Leader, like scenes from the original Star Wars, and they kind of stuck them in as if they were in that battle, which was, and I'm seeing actual X-Wings and TIE fighters fight, and it, there's that, especially in 2016 when we only had the one movie at that point. This was the second one that came out, and we weren't inundated with all this stuff quite yet. So that part washed over you. And then, of course, you got the Darth Vader scene at the end, which was cool. Yeah. But other than Jyn Erso and Cassian Andor, do you remember any of their names?
No.
That's my point. You don't. There's no engagement with these people. There's no moments that let you that let them stand out as characters, and you just end up bored. And plus, they make dumb decisions to keep the story moving. To get all of it is making dumbass decisions to get to that final battle. Why didn't you take the thing with you that has your dad's stuff on it, right? Why'd you go running up there, get your dad killed? Why did you send those X-Wings when you didn't need to, that ended up killing your dad? It's like all these things had to happen so that she wouldn't. And then she goes and they say, well, we're not going to go fight. Okay, well, we're going to take a ship. We're going to try to fight ourselves. Oh, okay. Mass the fleet. Why? Why did you change your mind? What changed for you? There's all these bizarre decisions that just don't make any sense to me. So if I watch Rogue One, I watch it because I enjoy the final act and I enjoy all the member pairs. But getting to that on repeat viewing is more and more of a slog. It's boring and not engaging. I don't like it.
Hold on.
Oh no, I got to run this by myself now.
No, I'm back. I've got my teenage son just come in and left all the doors open so you can hear my in my wife on the phone to her mum in the background. Trust me, I'm sparing you from that. No, I really liked Rogue One, and I'm just hoping this is going to head in a similar direction. But my point that I was going to make was the fact that when you made it, when you watch the original Star Wars, you immediately want to sign up to the rebellion. You want to be on Luke's team. You want to be on Han Solo's team, Princess Leia's team. Yeah. With Rogue One, like I said, you don't really know who these characters are. And you walk out of there and you're like, yeah, that was a good film. Good luck to them. There's no call to arms.
If you had no prior connection with the original trilogy, would you like Rogue One?
Yeah, I think I would.
I'm pretty sure I wouldn't, because I'd be like, I don't care about any of this stuff because I don't know any of it, and the characters aren't engaging enough for me to get. It certainly wouldn't rewrite my DNA like the original Star Wars did. Right. You know, I mean, it'd be like I'd probably never watch it again. I don't really watch it that much now, and I mean, I'll admit the characters were much more engaging in Force Awakens, and I wanted to know more about them, and I knew their names when I got done. And they had little quirks and things that I could latch onto. Now, yes, granted, the rest of the trilogy shit the bed entirely. But Force Awakens was a reasonable jumping off point, and I had characters that I wanted to know more about. This Rogue One, I was like, I don't even know their names. I don't care about any of them. And then they all end up dying anyway, I know, but it's like Cassian is a block of wood.
Yeah.
Jyn Erso is a block of wood with a nice butt. And everybody else was the only one that really stood out that I actually remember the name of is K2SO, the robot. He had some personality. He was the only one I cared about when he died.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. They didn't give you that sense of wanting to be part of what they was trying to achieve. But as a standalone film, I really enjoyed Rogue One. So, like I said, I hope this builds to something like that. I really do. I was critical. You know, a prequel to a prequel where we know exactly what's going to happen seemed pointless. But yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised by Andor. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sick of prequels to death. I'm just, and I don't even mean in Star Wars. This whole idea of making a prequel and telling us the backstory of some character, this Lord of the Rings is a big fucking prequel. Who cares? I don't care.
Yep.
I don't. I want to see what happens to Frodo after he got back. You know, what happened to him in the Grey Havens? I don't know. I mean, be interesting. I'd like to know. That's why I love, and I wish they would. The only way they could do this, I think, is probably as a CGI animation. If they do it right, they use better character models than say what you get in a Clone Wars. Is the Timothy Zahn trilogy?
With Thane, is it not Thane?
Thrawn.
That's it.
Yeah, cool. I would like to see that. Because that told me the further adventures, and it expanded the characters, and it expanded the world, but it never, and it was well mapped out, and it was was interesting. It showed us some of the problems of the rebellion having to be the new republic and what happens there. It brought in some new interesting characters like the Bothan senator. That was a pain in the ass, but mate,
I've not read it for decades.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm trying to remember his name, but Borsk Falea, I think was his name. I think that's right. But I mean, that's my point. It's like I can remember these characters. I remember Mara Jade, and I remember Talon Karrde.
I remember Mara Jade. Yeah,
I remember these characters in this book. It's like, why is it that nobody in Hollywood seems to know these basic tenets of writing anymore? And they build these bland characters based on check boxes most of the time. I'm not accusing Andor of that. But, we understand, these are basics of storytelling. Give their motivations out. Let us understand where they're coming from and why they're doing what they're doing, and then what their call to adventure is, or their challenges or their obstacles moving forward because they have a goal. I don't know what Cassian's goal is. I have no idea. I know what Jean Valjean's goal is, but I don't know why he's so single-minded for this goal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know Bix. I mean, she's doing all this stuff for Andor. I think she apparently has a connection with the rebellion because she met Stellan Skarsgård. Why? How did that happen? Why does she have a connection with the rebellion? What's motivating her? And why is she so bent on getting Cassian as a part of the rebellion, but not telling her boyfriend? What's going on there? I don't understand. Why are they making these decisions?
Oh, see, I just took that they were buying and selling stuff on the black market. That's what I understood from that, because she was a mechanic. So isn't she just buying and selling stuff? And then obviously he's using it for bits.
I think that's part of it, but I don't think she's just doing it for money. I think she's doing it for other reasons, but I don't know what they are. I think I think there's something more to it than just money. Let's put it that way. She doesn't come across or doesn't strike me as somebody that is just a money hungry person. She clearly cares about her boyfriend. She cares about Cassian, and there's something else motivating her. What is that? I don't know. The show won't tell me.
Yeah, we're only 3 in though. I know what you're saying. It's at least 1.5 of those 3 hours is wasted. But I think, considering we've got 9 more episodes,
you keep saying we're only 3 in. I'm like going, this is when this stuff should be established. It should be established in episode 1, because then everything after that moves forward. You say we're only 3 in, and I still don't know on some of these questions. That's ridiculous. That's way too long to be trying to engage me and figure out what the hell the motivations are.
That doesn't bother me though.
Well, you're weird.
I'm just thinking, I've got 12 episodes of this to watch. I'm happy to sit there and bide my time.
Chat, would you help me out here, please? Tell me which one of us is, if I'm being overly critical. I don't think I am. I don't think there's a lot to like here. There's a lot to like here. It's just I just wish I could be more engaged with what's going on. And I'm like going, okay, I don't know why I should care about any of this.
Well, I'm so far.
Tell me why, and then I will.
I'm looking forward to episode 4, which is something I've not said about Star Wars for ages. Yeah, actually looking forward to the next one. But
I mean, is this better than Book of Boba Fett? Absolutely.
Oh, 100%.
At least its ambition is better.
Yeah.
It's trying to do something more than just your standard Star Wars. Hey, remember Boba Fett? Here, buy toys, watch our stuff, subscribe to Disney Plus. I feel like there's something that they're trying to do more here. So I'll give them that. Mm-hmm. Is it better than Mandalorian? No, because I understood what's going on with the Mandalorian from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
The Game of Thrones. Here we go. So Rogue Thought. Game of Thrones had me in the first episode, the first 20 minutes, really. Yeah, I would agree. I was figuring out these characters fairly quickly in episode 1 of Game of Thrones. There was still a lot to unpack because they were keep introducing characters throughout the show because it's such a dense show. But in the first episode, they focused on the Starks and Baratheon, along with the Lannisters, visiting the Starks, and we understood what was going on with those two groups of characters for the most part in that episode. And by the end, we knew that Jaime was banging his sister, and he would toss a Stark out the window to cover it up, a little boy. Okay. I understand motivations here. I'm engaged. I may not understand every single detail moving forward, but I do understand that Baratheon believes that people are vying for his throne. He needs to, keep the kingdom together. I'm getting it, and I'm engaged. And there's still a lot to unpack because that show is a dense mess of a show. But he's right. I would say Game of Thrones had you in the first, even as much as is going on there, it had you in the first 20 minutes of the first episode. And now you have a solid foundation to build on as far as unpacking more motivations, more decisions, more obstacles, all that kind of stuff. They didn't establish that foundation in Andor. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that. Like I said, half of it was unnecessary.
Yeah,
or I do think it's got potential. So I am looking forward to keeping this going.
I'd still say, go ahead.
I say, however, we know the woke's coming. We know it's inevitable. There's some female head honcho coming in, and Fiona Shaw, who was Andor's stepmom or whatever you want to call her, Harry Potter's aunt,
kidnapper.
I'm quoting here. She's put here in an interview. Tony has written a great, scurrilous take on the Trumpian world. Our world is exploding in different places right now. People's rights are disappearing, and Andor reflects that. The Empire is taking over, and it feels like the same thing is happening in reality too. Now, I'm not sure what reality Fiona Shaw lives in, but that suggests to me that this show could unravel very quickly. If they're trying to
I'm amazed at the idea of letting everyone vote on certain things and speak on things that they want to speak on is considered erasing their rights. I think there was somebody who said, if you've lived in a position of privilege all your life, being made to conform to the same rules as everyone else feels like oppression. I think that's what's going on with some of these people.
That's a good take. Yeah. So that I was a little bit disheartened when I read that because, like I said, I think this has got potential. But when I read that and I'm thinking, because I'm pretty sure that the times we're currently living in are more Empire-like than they were in 2016 to 2020.
Yeah, I mean, I really need to get back on doing unplugged episodes so I can talk about this kind of stuff. But I'm, as far as this goes, so far I'm not seeing that, and I'll wait until I see it before I take Fiona, some actress's take on reality. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a lot of times they say this stuff in these press interviews and things like that. Then you watch it, it's like, what are they talking about? So it's like, I just, these people live in such a bubble and such a bizarre fantasy world. I just don't see it. So,
well, we shall see.
Yeah,
we shall see. What do you think about the? I know you wanted to talk about this anyway. What do you feel about it only coming out every one episode a week rather than?
Yeah, so that's an interesting discussion. I was. So Netflix, when it came out, it would say, okay, we got this new show. Here's all your episodes here. God damn it. Enjoy. We won't see you for an entire weekend,
Yeah.
You come out, you got ice cream, you covered in zits. I watched the whole thing. But the other Prime and Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, all of them, they release once a week. I am irritated by that. I like Netflix's blam, here's all your stuff.
Okay.
But everybody else does it once a week. Now, I get it. It's like, if we do it all at once, you watch it all in a weekend, you get your free subscription, then you cancel it.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's probably a problem for your business model. I don't have a good answer to that. But on the other hand, I'm just like, I'll wait till it's out. I'll wait till it's all out, and then I'll watch it all at once, because especially something like House of Dragon, because Game of Thrones was difficult to watch on a weekly basis. And if you missed a week, I mean, it wasn't like you could go back and watch it, catch up. But the problem is it was so dense, I would easily forget things that had happened
Yeah.
And if I wasn't binging it, I was struggling to keep up with just the amount of things that would happen. Because I go to work, I sleep, things fall out of my head. I'm old now. I don't remember my exact number of children these days. So, I can't be expected to remember what's going on in Game of Thrones. So I'm kind of like, I would rather see the binge model. But if you're willing to wait, I guess you can binge it anyway.
Yeah.
Once it's all out. So it doesn't really.
You're at risk of spoilers, though.
That's true. Yeah, you have to stay away from things on the internet. Fortunately, I just don't mess with social media that much. I'm not on Facebook. I'm barely on Twitter.
No, I'm not on any of them.
And I'm not on any of the others. I go to a couple of news sites. I'm fully in the side of all of that social media stuff. It destroys your mental faculties.
Oh yeah, I'm only on Getter and Gab, but that's just for memes more than anything else. But I've got a love-hate relationship with binge watching, because on one hand, I like the fact that if I'm in the mood and I've got the time, I can sit there and watch 3 or 4 episodes of one show and get really into it. But then on the other hand, I do like sometimes to wait a week for the next episode. I do like that build up. I like that anticipation that I know on a Friday I'm going to get, For All Mankind. I'm going to get House of the, I'm going to get 4 or 5 shows that I've been following. And on a Friday would be like a Friday evening. It would be like a binge evening of 4 or 5 different shows.
Well, if they all come out at once, then it's up to you on how you want to consume them, right? That's my point. It's like the consumer's choice. I could watch all of them at once, or I could watch them once a week. There's nothing stopping me from watching it once a week, if they're all out. If I wanted to do that, what I don't like is that you're forcing me to watch it once a week.
Yeah, I understand, but my issue with binge watching, or when they dump a load of episodes in one hit, is after like a day, you'll get some douchebag online going, ending of, let's use Andor, let's make out that was done. Ending of Andor explained, and then in the subhead it will have a mini spoiler. And you're like, some of us have to work, some of us haven't sat there for 12 hours till like 4 o'clock in the morning watching
Get off the internet.
Just so you be the first dickhead to tell everyone how it ended. Yes, that's my critic. Yeah, but
I can't believe
I don't know. I'm going to break.
I can't believe Andor is Padme's father.
Well, that's the sort of thing I'm talking about. Unexpected twist at the end of Andor, and you're like, it's now not a twist, because the idea of a twist is you don't see it coming. When you say you'll never guess what the twist is going to be at the end, well, you ruined it, because now I know there's a twist, so I'm looking for it for the whole thing. So that's my criticism. That's my problem when I have.
Yeah, but I mean, is that the fault of the people who put out the movie or the show, or whatever, or is that the fault of dickheads on the internet and
that's the fault of dickheads
the Google algorithm?
Yeah. And everyone went to be first. Everyone went to be first. That's what annoys me. Again,
I have the NFL app. I like National Football League. Specifically Go Chiefs. Yeah. But the app lets me, it'll send me notifications about the games that are happening, but it will also give me the option to say, do you want to see the scores or not? So
okay.
No, if I don't want to see the scores, like maybe I'm DVRing it. Sometimes I've DVR'd a game and then I'll watch it later, which then I can just fast forward through the commercials, which is cool.
Nice.
It's a microwave football. I watch 3 hours of football in an hour and 30 minutes.
3 hours? Is that how long the game's on for?
Usually, yeah.
It's not that.
Including halftime and all that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's like, that's a nice thing. They don't show me the scores, but how do you? They have kind of control over that app. Obviously, if I have other alerts or something, I might see it somewhere. But that's a sporting event's a little different. But a show with 10 episodes, I mean, you're talking 10 hours at least.
Yeah.
Maybe longer if that final episode runs, an hour and a half or 2 hours, like Stranger Things. Yeah, it's difficult to avoid those. It's difficult to avoid them even if you binge it because you may not be able to binge. Like maybe it comes out on Tuesday, you're not able to binge it till that weekend. You may see
Yeah.
shit.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like that's a hazard of the internet. I don't know how to fix that, but that doesn't change from my mind the ability. For me, it's like let me make my own decision of how I want to consume it. If I want to do it a week at a time, I can do that, even if you put it all out. Or if I want to do 2 episodes now, 2 episodes this, and do just little mini binges throughout the week. Or if I want to do it all in a weekend because it's snowing out, we're locked in, I have that capability. And in my mind, you're kind of taking that away from me a little bit. But on the other hand, it's like once it's out, then I can binge it anyway. So I don't know.
I know. I mean, because I know you're waiting for House of Dragon to finish, aren't you? Because you can binge that. But I don't know how you avoid spoilers.
Actually, I haven't seen much. I have no idea what's
No?
going on in it. No, I don't even
I'm
know
gonna
the main
write-
characters or nothing. I don't get.
I'll
I
write
don't
an
get a
article
lot.
tomorrow.
Shut up.
House of Dragon spoilers. You can edit it.
You got to put a big old thing on there. No, I have no idea what's going on in it, and I don't really seek out. Like, I think I would probably see spoilers if I had sought out a lot of Game of Thrones content on YouTube, but I don't search it that much, so they're not shoving it in my face. And I generally the way I consume YouTube is I subscribe to pretty large group of channels, and then I just go straight to my subscriptions page and I watch and put stuff on my watch later, and then watch that playlist throughout the day because most of it's just audio stuff. I don't, but if there is something that says Game of Thrones on it, I just push right over it. There are some of those movie channels that do show Game of Thrones or talk about Game of Thrones, but I've seen a lot more stuff on Rings of Power, which most of it is this sucks, I hate it, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen nearly as much talk about Game of Thrones, and maybe just because of again what ends up in my feeds or whatever than I have about Rings of Power. I mean, people are just angry and pissed off and freaked out about Rings of Power, and I get it. I've been that way with Star Wars and the MCU, but I would like to see more of that energy go into, hey, watch House of Dragon. It's really good. It's well done. It's not well, blah, 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 blah. I'd like to see more of the positive. I guess I'm getting to the point. I'm just getting kind of sick of the negative, or I want to make it like you and I, we have the same exact thought with our She-Hulk, and we did it completely separately. Those of you, you saw She-Hulk review 1, She-Hulk. That's just because he got in there faster. I had no idea he was doing that.
It was literally 4 minutes.
Yeah.
It was 4 minutes.
It's so weird. And we both did the most dripping, beautiful, I love this show so much review, just covered in sarcasm. I was like, you need to stop doing petty stuff like calling the suicide hotline and watch the show.
I felt sorry for Stark because he looked at the group chat and he's like, what review am I putting up? And he was like, oh, both of them.
oh, you had the same idea. Okay. I mean, but that's where you're at. You got to laugh at this point. What else can you do?
Exactly.
How much can you say woke stuff sucks? How many more times can you say it before you start going, this is just this is no fun anymore. I mean, it needs to be talked about, but on the other hand, it's also like, or what else are I don't know. I'm just kind of like, I just don't know what else to say that hasn't already been said about this stuff other than just don't watch it, I guess. But try to support things that are good, I think. I think we definitely get too negative sometimes.
I think so. I think it's easy to hate on something. It's because it's fun to take the piss out of it. Stark and I, we was having a little back and forth on the chat. Just we were discussing maybe one of us should at least review House of Dragons or the House of the Dragon, whatever it's called. But my
Well, I
problem
thought I
is
would
I don't
have-
know much about the franchise apart from what I'm seeing every week. I
Yeah.
don't know much. My concern is if I was to do a review of the latest episode of House of Dragon, am I going to do it in justice because I don't know much about the source material? Stark seems to know a lot about the source material, but bless him, he's writing 3 articles to our one every
dude's a
day. So
machine.
he is. So he's finding time to do it. But perhaps that's maybe rather than hate watching. I mean, we've only got 2 more episodes of She-Hulk anyway, so we're committed now. But
Do we?
maybe
I thought it was
concentrate on the good
more.
No, I think it's only 8, and I think we're on 6.
Oh, really? I thought it was like 12
Yeah.
or something. It was ridiculous. I was
No,
kind of shocked.
no. Oh God, can you imagine that? No, it's only 8 apparently. So we've only got 2 left to go. But what I'm going to do as well, I've started watching that Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
You were
on
telling me
Netflix.
that. Yeah, you
Yeah,
should,
so
you should review
I think
that
that's
for
like-
sure.
I'm 2 episodes in, so I might do a review tomorrow. I might get another 2 in tonight, actually. But so far, so good. So perhaps I'll do a review of that.
Yeah, I am looking forward to that Tulsa King because it's done by that guy who does
Yes.
Yellowstone and 1883. Did you watch 1883, by the way?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
That's a gut punch of a show, isn't it?
Yeah. It was brutal.
It's like anybody,
brutal.
if you all those romantic westerns that you've seen, even stuff like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and everything, if you think you understand and think it would be cool to be in the West, you watch 1883 and you realize it sucked balls. It was the worst ever.
Yeah. Do you know what I wanted to do after I watched it? I wanted to go down to my local Starbucks, grab a Blue Hair, and force them to watch it.
No
And
shit.
just go, why you're sitting here on your £2,000 iPhone spending £5 on a cup of coffee moaning about you're oppressed and your life sucks shit. Go and watch this because this life sucks shit. It's fucking
Yeah, let me
terrible.
tell you what happens when you get hit by an arrow that's covered in cow shit or horse shit,
Yeah.
and there's no such thing as antibiotics, and you take 2 weeks to die.
Or
Yeah,
bitten by a snake. The list goes
Yeah.
on and on. So don't
'Cause
sit
there's no
there telling me
roads.
you're oppressed watching this, or that white people in America are oppressors when they're from a generation of people that had to go. I mean, what was there? It's like 30 that started out, and there was only about 4 left.
something
end of
like
it.
that. They all just died horribly, most of them. And it's like, I mean, I have no doubt that it was that bad in those days. And we're not talking like, we're talking 1883. That's the year. So, you think 100 years from then, 1983, the insane amount of change and safety that we have in this country from then till now. It blows my mind sometimes when I think of the amount of change from in 100 years like that.
Yeah.
And it's like the ingratitude and the insufferable attitudes of people these days, talking about oppression and that kind of stuff. It's like, well, at least you weren't slaves back then. Yeah, okay, granted, but believe me,
Nor were you.
neither were you, and everybody had it hard back then. I mean, it was not like there was a very, very tiny group of people that were in pretty good safety and comfort, and even them could not understand or believe the things that I have in my little middle class house. The greatest pharaoh of Egypt could not would freak out at the idea of walking in and it's colder on the inside than it is on the outside. Just blow his mind. And it's lit. And there's no torches anywhere. I mean, it's like, what kind of sorcery is this? That he would his mind would just melt out his nostrils.
Could you imagine if you spoke to like a philosopher or something? He said, I've actually got the world's worth of information and everything that you need to know in the palm of my hand.
In the palm of my hand.
Oh, that's amazing. What do you do with it? I kind of take selfies and pictures of the dinner.
It's like, so is everybody really smart? No.
No.
They're actually quite a bit dumber than they've ever been.
It's getting worse.
the proliferation of cat pictures is really a scourge of society. I gotta tell you.
We just went to his friends because it's my mate's birthday today, and his daughters. He's got two daughters. They're both teenagers, and they went quick, everyone, and they held their phones up. And there's this new app. I can't remember what it's called, Roundabout or something, and it sets you random alert times, and you have to take a picture of what's in front of you and what's behind you at that specific time.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah.
So we were just like me and Russ. We were just like,
you want to talk about purposelessness, you know? No wonder everybody's rioting and burning shit down these days. I mean, if this is the best you got in your life, you take a picture at a random time, what's in front of you, what's behind you, and that's considered highlight. Yeah. I mean, where's the adventure anymore? You know, I kind of get it
gone,
to
man.
a certain extent.
It's
all
gone.
This comfort that we have, but we definitely have lost something. And then we end up sitting for 2 hours a week bitching about Star Wars movies. I mean,
yeah. Oh well. Tune in next week.
I'm sure there's always more Star Wars to bitch about.
Well, there'll be one more episode.
Yeah, there will be. So I don't know. I mean, I do think some of this is important. I mean, the culture is created out of a lot of entertainment. Mm-hmm. I think that's fair to say. I think a lot of Gen X culture was created out of the entertainment of our day, you know, from Terminator, Star Wars, all that kind of stuff. And this message that they're putting out, I think, is harmful sometimes. Andor, I'm not saying that it has a particular message right at the moment, but in general, all these propagandizing stories that have no aspirational qualities to them, that do not inspire men to be protectors and have ambition, do not inspire women to be caregivers and to be feminine, to be mothers and all the things that go along with being female. I mean, all of that's been thrown into the dumpster. We don't even like how we're born, and we're carving ourselves up. I mean, all of this comes from these pieces of entertainment. I think they're chipping at our, I don't know what you call it, our self-esteem as a culture.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot of the reason why we talk about this, but I do want to be more than just woke bad. I mean, you talk about Nerdrotic and some of these others, and I generally agree with what he says most of the time, but sometimes I feel like he's the other side of the coin, where it's just a lot of buzzwords. I hear MCU all the time. I hear all these buzzwords, and I feel like he's playing the carnival barker on the other side, anti-woke, yes, but I don't know that he's adding anything to the conversation or helping. I don't see where, you know, it's making things better, I guess. And I don't know. Yes, we need to call out this stuff, but then it's like we also need to find positive stuff more, and we need to
embrace the positive
and maybe talk about why we think what we could do to make these things better, I guess. I mean, this sucks, don't watch it. That doesn't give some random blue-haired angry person with no direction in their life any more purpose than they had the day before. It just tells them, don't watch this, okay? Mm-hmm. Great. And, you know, what I was trying to do, talking about Andor, is talk about, you know, the building blocks of storytelling and how you get somebody engaged in your characters. Maybe somebody will go out and write a different type of story that maybe would make it better, you know, get something that would, you know, because these stories are important, you know, Jaws and Star Wars and, you know, Indiana Jones, all these different ones from back in the day, Back to the Future and all this. These stories are important to us because they latch on to something inside us culturally and as humans that give us inspiration in our own lives a lot of times. And that's what I'd like to, I think that's what we're really asking for. Is, you know, we want to give this to the next generation.
Mhm.
And what you're giving our children now, what you're giving people now, is nothing that gives them that in story form. I think, you know, like you look at the Bible, and I'm not a religious guy, but you know, Jesus in the Bible, he wasn't saying, don't do that, it's bad. He was saying, let me tell you the story about the Good Samaritan. Let me tell you the story about this. Let me tell you the parable of that, right? He was always telling parables. He was doing it through storytelling, right?
Mhm.
Because they didn't have movies and all that stuff back then. You know, he told stories. That's how
What?
he built. I know. That's how he built culture. That's how you influence people, was telling stories about people going through a journey of some sort, even if it was a small parable or something. So the stories have to be entertaining first and foremost. They may have a good message, but it's still a way to connect with people. And I'm saying, and I think that what we're so up in arms about with She-Hulk and all this stuff is that all these stories, all these characters, all these things that have been built up by the American culture, by British culture, whatever, are being torn away, destroyed. And what's in its place is something that is just hacks at your self-esteem as a person and as a country. It doesn't, you know, everybody's angry and throwing things and screaming at each other on Twitter. It's like, why do you know, with stories like that, wouldn't you be? You don't come out of these movies feeling, I'm going to go and blow up a Death Star and save the planet. I'm going to go fly around the world like Superman and turn back time and save Lois. And I'm going to do good things. And of course, you're not actually going to do these things, but you know, you come out of there with an attitude and an elation that gives you motivation in your own life. And I look at watching something like, I don't know, some of this woke shit, this nonsense, She-Hulk, let's say. Come out watching She-Hulk. Do you feel anything other than just,
yeah,
I just want to kill myself?
Absolutely stunned. Well, one of the reasons Maverick's been so successful, because you did walk out of the cinema thinking,
yeah. Now, I'm not going to get in a jet and fly it, obviously, but I do feel it gives you some elation. It gives you some
sense of purpose, sense of
aspiration.
being. Yeah.
And I don't think it's conscious, but I think it's like you take that little bit of positive motivation and you probably apply it to something in your life. Maybe you just talk better to your kid that night. I don't know. Maybe you pull out an old book and you start reading it to him that night and try to hand down that kind of thing. And you don't feel so beat down all the time by this Hollywood nonsense.
Yeah. I think you've nailed it there, mate. I think they beat you down with
getting really philosophical here, aren't I?
Switch over to Drunken Yoda.
I'm sorry. She-Hulk sucks.
It's true, though. Well, I'll tell you what. I watched the. I said it last week. The Mike Tyson biopic. I keep meaning to do a review of that. I've been hesitant because Tyson's come out and spoke unfavorably because they said they didn't ask his permission or pay him for his life story. So I'm a little
dangerous.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit dubious about promoting it, even though it was good. If the guy whose story it is hasn't even been involved,
I'm wondering, like you
I
said,
think you're right.
Tyson's coming over to talk to us. So he comes in like everybody has earmuffs on.
He's a terrifying human being. But I think, you know, I'm going to make a conscious effort of maybe, I'm still going to shit all over She-Hulk, but I'll make a conscious effort of maybe, you know, pinpointing the positive aspects of entertainment.
Well, yeah, and I think it's okay to criticize the bad aspects of entertainment. I just don't want to descend into a bunch of silly buzzwords like MCU, you know. I just don't feel like that adds anything to the conversation, and it just you've pissed off some blue hairs on Twitter. Everybody's all pissed off still. Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess we're not moving any steps forward. We're just going to see who can one up each other on pissing each other off. Okay, I guess that'll work out well. We want to send it a civil war with that kind of attitude. So yeah. Well, dude, I think we've done everything we can do.
I think we have. That's good. We said about an hour, so we've done all right. Just me and you.
Yeah, I think we have. I apparently I can ramble with the best of them. So thank you very much for watching and listening to us have our little therapy session here, our weekly therapy session. This has been another episode of Outpost Frequency. Oh, shit.
What a way to end.
Real professional group of people here. I have been Drunken Yoda, and we can apparently continue to be drunken. This has been Matt. Matt, you got anything left to say?
Not really. Tune in next week.
Yeah. So remember, come to the website.
And thank you, Rogue Thought, as well. Thanks, Rogue Thought, for tuning in.
Yeah. So don't forget, we are lastmovieoutpost.com, where you can get all the movie news, streaming news, and everything cool about film. You can reach us at contact us at lastmovieoutpost.com. You can reach us on Twitter at Movie Outpost. Our normal host at Boba Phil will probably be back next week. I'm at Drunken Yoda 1, and you can find us at Facebook at /Last Movie Outpost and on Instagram at Last Movie Outpost. And of course, don't forget, watch all our older videos. Watch these videos, and if you do, give us a subscribe, give us a share, give us a like. The best way you can help out this show is to share it out and let people know that it's out there. Let these videos know that they're out there. Put it on your Facebook or Twitter feeds, and start bringing people in. It would be really great. We'd really appreciate it. Until then, we will be here next week, rambling about something. I don't know. There's just not much coming out right now, so
Let's
see.
see. Hopefully, Ezra Miller will do something and give us something to talk about next week. It's been a while.
Yeah, I am curious whether or not that Flash movie is going to come out, because up here it's actually good, but it's got this real world nonsense hanging over its head. So I don't know how they're going to do it. Maybe they could just recast at the end, like he resets the world and then it's a new Flash, you know.
Well,
I don't know.
Logical. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it because I don't know what the story is. So we'll see. But until then, we will see you next week. And thank you for being a part of it. And we'll see you on the next stream.